everyone, welcome back. I'm Dr. Gomati. In this video, I'm going to tell you what is debugging in AL and also in Business Central. So, debugging is the process of finding and correcting errors. So, finding and correcting errors, you may have a doubt that basically, business that is AL itself, this Visual Studio Code itself, it will tell you what is the error, right? So, for example, error in the sense if you miss this semicolon, or if you miss this curly brace, or if you have wrongly given a name, so this errors or automatically find will be understand will be recognized by the al itself, because these are all the compiler error. Okay, so this is the basic definition for your program. Fine. So for example, every statement should end with a semicolon. This is the basic rule for everything, and if you are going to assign something, then you have to use colon and equal to. And if you are declaring any property, then you have to use a equal to. And if you have opened a curly brace, then definitely you have to close the curly brace. So these are all the basic rules which will be automatically recognized when you just save it. Okay, so I can show you that. For example, if I'm missing this semicolon, so what happens is automatically under that you can see that there is a problem where you can see that this is a syntax error. This we call it as a syntax. Okay, that is what the defined rule, predefined rule. If you just try to miss something from that predefined rule, it will tell you that this is what the error. So what happens if this is not a predefined rule? Okay, if it is a runtime error in the sense if you are executing it and it is taking you to the business central, but you really couldn't understand where the error is and what is happening. Okay, for example, even if if you are executing a report, you wanted to check whether exactly what you are expecting the report is executing. Okay, so these are all the few errors which if you wanted to ensure that whether it is happening properly, or even if you wanted to find whether it is working correctly, or if you wanted to find where the error is, why it is not executing that particular line. So in that case, you can definitely make use of this debugging in Business Central. I hope you are understanding what I'm trying to tell, right? So you can see here that with Visual Studio Code, the AL language extension, you will get the integrated debugger. Okay, so here you can see a debugging option, which is integrated debugging option F5. Okay, if you press F5, you can start debugging. Okay, and if you press Control and F5, this is without debugging. It will directly take you to the Business Central homepage. Okay, so if you just press F5, it will start you with the debugging. Okay, so you have two debugging option here. One is what the traditional one, which I told as simple debugging, which you needed to use F5. Okay, second one is snapshot debugging. Okay, so for the snapshot debugging, you need a special permission. You have to check whether you have that permission in your Business Central, whether it is assigned to you, everything. So we will talk about snapshot debugging later. Okay, the snapshot debugging is available in the production cloud environment. Okay, this is not available directly to everyone, and this is not you cannot do it without if you don't have the permission, you cannot do it. Okay, so that is what is the specialty in snapshot debugging is you can record al code that runs on the server. Okay, so you can see how it is exactly running in the server, and when it is completed, that you can debug the recorded snapshot in the Visual Studio Code. You can see and check how it is working. Okay, working in the server. So snapshot debugging lets you inspect the code execution and variables in the production environment on a cloud service for a specified user session. Okay, to whom you have assigned, and whether what are the how it is exactly working in the server for that specific user, and whether it is working fine, what you wanted to do. Okay, so in order to use the snapshot debugging, okay, if you wanted to use the snapshot debugging, then we can definitely go here. If you type al colon um, snapshot. Okay, so here you have snapshot debugging. So initial is snapshot debugging. You have to click this, and you have to write a specific code block in the launch.json as well. Okay, you have to write the specific code here for the launch.json. You have to execute the snapshot thing. Okay, snapshot debugging. So you can create it, and then you can find where it is working and which is not working as per your expectation. Okay, so we have to configure all these things. So currently we will not be looking at the snapshot debugging. We'll be looking at how you can debug the simple code, like any code, any page or procedure or reports or table, whatever you want. Okay, so basically this debugging, for our debugging, which involves another important concept called breakpoints. Okay, so you have a logic called breakpoints. So what is that breakpoint? So the basic concept in debugging is the breakpoint, which we have to mark on a specific statement. For example, if I wanted to see whether this particular action is working, okay, that is converting a string, whether this is exactly working, then I will be marking this specific statement. And when the program flow reaches this particular breakpoint, the debugger will stops the execution, and it will take us back to the Visual Studio Code. We can execute and see one by one. Okay, so I'll tell you how to initial check the state breakpoints, create a breakpoint. So if I wanted to check from the action, when the action is selected, I wanted to see how it is working. So I'll be creating a breakpoint here. So once you move your cursor to the left of this line number, okay, this is the line number, I hope you can see this is the line number. And once if you move your cursor to the left of the line number, you can see a red color circle. Okay, simply click on the circle where your breakpoint will be created. Okay, so once if you click on that, you can see what are the breakpoints. You can add n number of breakpoints. Okay, you can, or even click here, you can click here, you can click here, you can create n number of breakpoints. So whenever the breakpoint is created, you can find the breakpoints here. So you have to click this. Okay, and then here you can see what are all the breakpoints which you have created. Okay, so this is run and debug. So here you can see that these are all the breakpoints which is created. So if you wanted to edit it, you can edit the connection. Okay, if you want to write something, you can edit the connection, or else if you want to close it, you can either close it here, or else again if you go and touch this, the breakpoint will be removed. Okay, so this is the basics of debugging. So let me just execute this code. Okay, so 50106, right? Okay, so let us execute this code, and when we click on the convert string, let us see what is happening. Okay, so you can see that if we press Ctrl and F5, it will be directly executing. Okay, I just wanted to show you this difference as well. Okay, so and just now I have pressed Ctrl and F5, which is run without debugging. Okay, here it is going to run without any debugging option. So let us see how it is working. Okay, okay, so here you have an input, you can give any name here. Okay, so now you have an action. Okay, so if I click convert string, okay, because I have kept the breakpoint in the convert string, right? So if I click convert string, let us see what is happening. It will show you that this is the converted string. Okay, so it's simply telling you like what is a converted string. Okay, now what I'm going to do is what I am going to do the debugging option. Okay, okay, I'm going to do the debugging option where you have to press simply an F5. So once you press an F5, it will take you to the business central homepage. But once if you click convert string, because here is where we have kept the breakpoint. Okay, we have enabled the breakpoint. Let us see what is happening here. Okay, so if I just click this control convert string, Okay, so what is happening, it is not executing here anything, it is showing this blank screen. Can you see here, this is showing this blank screen, and it will take you to the Visual Studio Code. Now what happens, it is showing the breakpoint where I have kept the breakpoint here. So what happened is it has converted. Okay, so once anyhow I have clicked on the convert string, so once I click the action, it is taking me inside the action, it has converted the string, and it is showing a message. Okay, that is, this is what the message should display. So it is going to show me the converted string here. Okay, you can see that I have given G as a capital. Now the converted string will be a small g. Okay, you can see the changes here, and here on the top you can see various options. These are all the options which are available for the debugging specifically. So if you wanted to step over, if you wanted to step into, if you wanted to step out, okay, step into, step over, so all these options. So these changes, that is these thing and all, you can see again if you just refresh it. Okay, restart it, it will restart from the beginning. So these options you can find if you are using a very big line of coding where you wanted to check very it will take you deeper into that particular logic. For example, you know, if I am just calling a function here, and if you click on step deeper, step into, it will take me back to the function where I am calling it. Okay, so this is how exactly the debugging will work. Okay, so now I have clicked here stop, and now if you go back, once I stop the debugging, it is printing me the message here. Okay, this is what the debugging, this is a very essential debugging which will be enabling you to check step by step whether what are all the things which you have used is what are the statements which you have used is working correctly. Okay, so so you have to go with the breakpoint, whereas if you are using a breakpoint, exactly on which line you wanted to check that particular line, it will take you to that particular line and tell you how it is working. Okay, so this is what how it works. Okay, so this is the very essential for debugging. So if any error, you can just tell. Okay, so in the launch.json you have an option. So you have an option called is like, for example, you can use a break error property. Okay, so break error property, it stops the execution on the errors which are handled or unhandled by the compiler, that is executor. Okay, when it is executing, you can just go ahead with do that. Okay, so so basically here in the launch.json you have an option called break on error. So this is also a debugging option. Okay, this is what the property which I'm telling you now, the default value will be true, you have to set this true. Okay, and if you want to skip the error handling, for example, whenever you are no, you are just trying to delete it, it is showing that this is the error. Okay, so if you wanted to skip that error, if you don't wanted to show that this is the error which is the error should not be thrown by the al or anything, so here you can change this break on error to false. Okay, so this is a simple debugging which is done by business central itself. Okay, if you feel like the business central this error debugging is taking a longer time, then you can simply press ctrl shift and p to reload the screen. Okay, so reload the window, shift plus p. Okay, so you can press, this is what you can also see that in the top, like we saw some icons, right? So that is also there in the top. Okay, So these are all the basic thing which are available for debugging. So apart other than that, as I told, you can also do snapshot debugging, but you need the permission. Okay, you need the controlling permission, admin permission for the snapshot debugging. That snapshot debugging will work in the cloud. Okay, so probably you can just check if you have the thing, that is if you have the um, um, uh, access rights, if you can use that, you can try to use that. So I hope you find this video useful. Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.